It's the perfect backdrop for a high-stakes $20 million race.
Come on.
The world's richest sprint race.
We're backing down now.
And just like Sydney's skyline has been transformed, the Everest has reshaped the world of racing, with competitors chasing glory, chasing fortune, and chasing new heights.
I'm still pushing regardless of these stars.
History, icons and ambition, the SCG has seen its fair share of centuries. And just down the road at Randwick, you'll need a ton and then some. The 7 Everest winners have posted a rating of 125 or higher. That's the highest of any sprint race in the world. Not only is it tough to conquer Everest, it's hard work just making it to base camp. Some of the world's best have tried, and for some, there's unfinished business. I Wish I Win went agonisingly close last year. Can he go one better, or will another contender steal his thunder? The world's fastest sprinters will gather here at Royal Randwick to climb the mountain of all mountains. The time for preparation and promise is over. It's time to perform.
Yeah, it's a massive weekend out of Australia upcoming. Lucky enough to be joined by Brittany Taylor. Brittany, thanks for your time. Can't wait for the Everest, especially for the Kiwi charges this year. I Wish I Win and Jolly Star lining up.
Oh, and what wonderful chances they are as well. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Well, I think the Kiwis can be on pretty good terms with themselves with I Wish I Win and Jolly Star. Huge contenders in this Saturday's Everest. And I think that the barrier draw was actually really kind to I Wish I Win, drawing barrier 9. We all know what happened last year when he drew the inside and went so close, but just got hemmed away on the fence at a vital stage. So it's going to give him room to move, and I think that's going to be all important come Saturday.
He's at that 6s and 2:30 price from that inside barrier last year. On the other side, Storm Boy, Lady of Camelot there as well from the wider draw. We'll check out the Manikato effort from last time out. Brittany, we heard from the connections that I Wish I Won third up. It's going to be the grand final upcoming, and it was a good tune-up run with Growing Empire, the 3-year-old, flying for second.
Yeah, it was. I think Peter Moody's been really open about the campaign of I Wish I Win, being that he is a bit of an older horse that does feel his runs. So this Manikato was very much racing him into condition. We've seen him have that 3-week spacing, which I think works perfectly for him as opposed to last year. So they've been very intentional. Look how he finishes off in this Manikato. He monsters the line. Growing Empire, the X Factor 3-year-old colt, well, he did all but win. To be honest, I still can't believe he didn't win that race. The way he surged forward, I would have said, yep, it's all over, it's all done. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be that day for them. But he is tremendously exciting, Growing Empire. But I just really liked the run of I Wish I Win. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on trackside. Yeah,
he's a super effort. I Wish I Win. Hopefully he can go one better than last year. Mentioned Growing Empire and the 3-year-olds, Brittany, plenty of them this year as well, lining up, including a couple in the Golden Rose that race Traffic Warden and Storm Boy. So got the big 3-year-old representation coming off the back of Yes winning in 2019.
Exactly right. So we've seen it be done before. Can it be another 3-year-old this year? I think this is an extremely strong crop of 3-year-olds we've got. You look at this Golden Rose, which was run over 1,400 metres. So these are the colts that have been freshened up and are coming back to 1,200 metres for the sprint trip. You've got Traffic Warden from Godolphin, who really matches motors with broadsiding. They had a ding-dong battle to the line in this Golden Rose. And then there's Storm Boy. He's, I guess, a bit of a much maligned sort of horse because he was the big boom horse, sold for huge money. And there's always been a real microscope on his performances. The chink in his armour is that he can be slow away. And I just don't think in big races like this you can afford to be slow away. He looks your likely leader, but if he's slow away, there is speed outside him that could cross him, which could leave him in a world of hurt.
Yeah, out of those 3-year-olds, who would be your pick of them, Growing Empire off the back of the Manikato or that Sydney 3-year-old form?
Well, across the board, I really liked the Sydney 3-year-olds, but when I actually just look at the 3 of them in isolation, I would have to say Growing Empire.
And a couple of others lining up, including we've seen a former winner, Giga Kick. Not many 4-year-old geldings and over in this race. Takes on a field last time out, which included Bella Nipotina. Unfortunately, she's got that poor wider jaw, and Giga Kick looking to improve to his heroics from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and that's the big question. Is Giga Kick building to something? Opinions have been divided on this run in the Premier Stakes. Some thinking it was just an okay run. He came off a year off the scene, had that big injury layoff. So he's a big, big horse, and a lot of people have looked at him in the yard and thought, he's probably not there yet. I'm assuming he'll be peaking on Saturday, having not seen him in the flesh this week. But gee, you have to take into account that James McDonald was on him and he's elected to ride Jolie Star instead. That could be the push that you need. So it wouldn't be surprising to see him bounce back, but yeah, on what we've seen so far, you'd have to say that there are other horses that you'd probably be happier to have your money on. Bella Nipotina, one of those. Despite that wide draw, she is the most consistent horse, I think, in Australia. She's unbelievable. And she does like getting her toe in the ground, and it's been very, very wet in Sydney. So that lands in her favour.
And Craig Williams will take the ride aboard her, so he can work wonders from that draw, I'm sure. And speaking of plum draws, Jolly Star, beaten by Sunshine in Paris last time out, but she gets the plum draw and has the J-Mac factor aboard.
Yep, she does indeed. I really like Jolly Star as a horse. I think a bit like ones we've spoken about with X Factor. I think she fits into that category as well. So lightly raced, just had the 8 starts. They went into this Shirako Stakes thinking that she would just win. And I think they walked away a little bit disappointed that she didn't. She was a short quote this day. But when you go back and have a look at this race, she just got too far back, and there was only so much ground that she was actually able to make up. So I thought there was plenty of merit to this performance, and barrier 4 is going to be perfect for her. And Sunshine in Paris, the winner of this race, really liked her trial since this start. This race was back on September 14, so these two do come into the race on the fresher side, but that trial of Sunshine in Paris really caught the eye.
Yeah, looking forward to the Group 1 Everest this coming Saturday. And where you are at the moment in Melbourne, Brittany, Caulfield Cup action coming up. And speaking of good draws, probably the beneficiary of the draws was Buckaroo. Now lines up that 420 favourite and takes on Elias, who's no stranger to the wider draws after that last start, Group 1.
That's exactly right. I actually went out to Caulfield yesterday to watch all of these horses gallop, and this was before the barrier draw, and before the barrier draw I was still with Buckaroo. I thought he probably had the sharpest piece of work of these horses that I watched gallop there yesterday at Caulfield. I really liked what he's been able to do since he's been gelded, so no surprise to see him as favourite. And coming out of that Turnbull Stakes, and the Turnbull has traditionally been a really good lead to the Caulfield Cup. There's 8 in this replay that line up on Saturday, so you do probably have to watch this a few times over to really, I guess, form an opinion on this race. But the two that I think we need to focus on are Elias and Buckaroo, and they're the ones that fill the placings behind Via Sistina. Buckaroo was to the inside of Via Sistina in the run with a lot of ground to make up on straightening, and it just took him a little bit to actually get out into clear running. I thought he worked really well, as I said, at Caulfield yesterday, and even in the Underwood, Caulfield can be a bit of a track that sees horses undone, and I think it's in his favour that he has the experience at Caulfield. And Elias, well, he puts himself on speed. He's had 3 runs at 2,000 metres, so great conditioning. And Gabe Waterhouse yesterday, speaking with her, she described him as the most talented stayer she's had since Fiorente won the Cup, and that he'll stay with his eyes shut. So I thought that was a really good push from her.
Yeah, that's good information. Decade ago now since Fiorente won, I think back in 2013. Speaking of the Sydney form, Zardozi and Land Legion, Zach Purton comes aboard to ride Land Legion. They call out of the Metrops, so that's that Sydney form kicking in here.
That's it. They've had to call upon all the Hong Kong jockeys. It's Zach Purton, it's Andrea, it's Zini on Zardozi. Because of these light weights, with the top weight in this cup only being 55 kilos, they've had to call on them near and far. So a bit of a difference from this, where it was 2 apprentices going head to head, or young jocks. It's very different going to Hong Kong's best. Look at this go between the two. We know that there was a protest after this. Zardozi protested against Land Legend for interference on the home corner. Wasn't to be. It was dismissed. But I just think that if I was looking at that and I wanted to be on one of those or the other, I think Zardozi with a 3 kilo weight swing on Land Legend's the one I want to be with. She's, by comparison, Land Legend dwarfs her. She's much smaller than him, so I think that weight's really going to help her.
He's at 6.50 and 2.50 currently. The Kiwis do have an influence as well, Brittany, in this race is Positivity, and Andrew Force were no stranger to taking the race out in the Mongolian car with Murray Baker back in 2015. And to be fair, her form in South Australia and indeed Caulfield has been strong through the winter and into the spring.
Absolutely. She earned that golden ticket by winning the MRC Foundation Cup, and then subsequently that next start, I actually thought she hit the line really well. I think if you look at the form guide, she finished 7th in this race. This is the Bart Cummings, but I think she actually, the way she ran through the line was very encouraging. She's quite far back still at this stage of the race, and the one question mark I have on her is just whether it's come a little bit too early. She's only a 4-year-old mare taking on some older, seasoned, hardy sort of geldings. And listening to Andrew Forsman, he's been really open about just not wanting to sort of reach for the stars and push her too early. But it's a big carrot. It's hard not to, when you've got a mare in form and a big race, it's hard not to have a crack. And so why not? And that's exactly what they've done.
The other one in single figures is Denied Knowledge, 10s into $9, so there has been a bit of backing in that Might and Power form, winning over the 2,000 metres last start.
Yeah, that was just on Saturday, just gone. So we'll see this mare on the quick backup, which she has done effectively in the past. Deny Knowledge, this Might and Power. She rolled to the front and she stole the race, basically. It was a day where there have been plenty of opinions on this Caulfield track. Some people say that, there wasn't a bias. I personally think that there probably was an advantage to be up on speed, as there always is. You take luck out of the equation and you make it very, very hard for horses to run you down. And Mr. Brightside went in as a short price favourite and wasn't able to reel her in. She's drawn 17 on Saturday, so she'll have to work across. But the one difference could be what this track looks like on Saturday. There has been glorious weather conditions in Melbourne, dare I say it. I can't believe what it was like leading into the Caulfield Guineas on Saturday. So it was a good 3 track, and it just meant that they were skipping along, whereas there's 20 mils of rain, up to 20 mils of rain forecast on Friday. Whether or not it hits remains to be seen, but we could be looking at a very different surface.
You'll be tracking that weather for sure across the next couple of days, both in Melbourne and in Sydney. 2 competitive races we've just highlighted there. Brittany, who do you like in terms of the Everest and indeed the Caulfield Cup?
Well, I don't mean to be going for the favourites. I've had a really good look at both races, and in the Everest I do like I Wish I Win. I've been on his bandwagon for a long time, just thinking that the races that he's run well without getting suitable setups to win. I think this is his suitable setup in the Everest, trained to the minute, peaking on Saturday. So I think he can win it for trackside. And in the Caulfield Cup, I like Buckaroo. I think that people have some question marks on whether he'll stay. I believe he will. So they're my 2 for this Saturday.
Thanks so much for your time, Rennie. It's the best time of the year, isn't it? Spring. Enjoy the next couple of weeks as well over in Melbourne and over in Western Australia.
Thank you. I certainly will.